فيها دورات في مختلف المجالات، من اللغات والتصميم إلى إدارة الأعمال المالية والمحاسبة والبرمجة وغيرها. تحوي السبورة دورات مسجلة وأخرى مباشرة. بالنسبة للدورات المباشرة فيها دورات جماعية وأخرى فردية. انضموا الآن إلى فريق المدربين على منصة السبورة للتعليم الإلكتروني. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا بكم إلى هذا اللقاء العلمي الذي يندرج ضمن الدورات التكوينية المجانية التي تقدمها منصة السبورة للتعليم الإلكتروني. كما شاهدتم الآن في الجينيريك، منصة السبورة هي منصة عربية جديدة فيها دورات في مختلف المجالات، من اللغات إلى البرمجة إلى التصميم إلى إدارة الأعمال إلى التسويق إلى مجالات كثيرة أخرى. اليوم في أول مباشر على منصة سبورة سنتكلم على موضوع مهم جدا، ألا وهو موضوع تعلم اللغات بصفة عامة واللغة الإنجليزية بصفة خاصة. وسأتكلم اليوم على تقنيات أو التي أسميتها بأسرار تعلم اللغة الإنجليزية، حيث سأكلمكم في هذا اللايف إن شاء الله على ما هي التقنيات، ما هي الأساليب، ما هي الأدوات التي نستطيع أن نسرع بها تعلم اللغة أو بالأخص باللغة الإنجليزية. قبل ذلك أعرفكم بنفسي، الأستاذ عبد الفتاح تباني، الأستاذ الدكتور عبد الفتاح تباني، أستاذ محاضر بجامعة سطيف، تخصص الاقتصاد في العلوم الاقتصادية، وأيضا أستاذ لغة إنجليزية منذ أكثر من 14 سنة، وأيضا أستاذ لغة تركية. إذن اسمحوا لي أن أخلط بين اللغتين، اللغة العربية واللغة الإنجليزية، لأنه موضوع اليوم هو كيف نتحدث اللغة الإنجليزية، كيف نتمكن من هذه اللغة التي أصبحت لغة المعرفة، لغة البحث، لغة العلم، وهي لغة عالمية، ربما اللغة الأولى عالميا. طيب، أول شيء دائما يسألني الكثير من طلبتي، كثير من الزملاء، كثير من الأصدقاء، على ما هي أحسن طريقة لتعلم اللغة الإنجليزية. So let me switch to English now. So many people, many of my students, my colleagues, my friends always ask me the question, what is the best way? What is the best book? What is the best course to learn English? And I always say, there is no best book, there is no best course, but there is a best way to learn a language. Okay, so let me share my slides with you. I'm going to share some slides with you. Okay, the first slide. So today's live is entitled Secrets of Learning English, or learning a language in general. You can generalize this if you want to learn any language. So as I said, so if you have these problems in learning language, if you find learning the language hard for you, if you tried many methods and courses but in vain, means you tried methods and courses but your level in English didn't enhance, didn't improve, or if you find a difficulty in one of the 4 skills, which are speaking, listening, reading, or writing, so I guess today you are in the right place. So from problems, let me jump to questions. So many people ask these questions. What is the best way to learn a language? Is there a better method or course, as I said, is there a book or a course or any particular method to learn a language? And others ask the question, how can I or how can we master the 4 skills of the language? So today I'm going to try to answer these questions and tell you about my own experience in learning English and of course also Turkish. Okay, so first of all, the answer, as I said, to this question is there is one answer, in fact. Practice makes perfect. So the right answer to the question, what is the best way to, or what is the best method to learn English, is practice makes perfect. So the question should have been, what is the best way to practice the language? It's not what is the best book or best method to learn a language, because the key to learn any language is practice. The answer is very simple, it's very easy. It is practice. So, how can we practice the language? The question is, the right answer to this question is, you need to practice the 4 skills of the language. So the other question it is, what are the 4 skills of a language? So the 4 skills of the language, dear friends, the first one is speaking and listening, reading and writing. These are the 4 skills of the language. I repeat again. So speaking, listening, reading and writing. Okay, يعني نتكلم العربية. أهم شيء في تعلم اللغة مهما كانت أي لغة هو الممارسة. practice. الممارسة. إذن أفضل طريقة لتعلم أي لغة مهما كانت هي الممارسة. ولكن السؤال هو ماذا نمارس وكيف نمارس؟ إذن الجواب على هذا السؤال هو ممارسة المهارات 4 للغة. المهارات 4 للغة هي القراءة، الكتابة، الاستماع والمحادثة أو التحدث. إذا تمكنا من هذه المهارات 4 نستطيع أن نقول أننا تمكنا من اللغة. And the thing that we have to keep in mind is that once we can convey a message in the language being learned, then we can say that we are good in that language. So we cannot be native like. We cannot be a native like because, especially for old people, it is too late to be a native like. But once you can convey message, once you can communicate with others in that language, then you can say that my language is good. My language is enough to communicate with others. يعني أن الهدف من تعلم اللغة هو التواصل مع الآخرين. عندما نستطيع أن نتواصل مع الآخرين بشكل جيد، عندما نستطيع أن نوصل الرسالة إلى طرف آخر بتلك اللغة مهما كانت، عندها نستطيع أن نقول أننا لا بأس، لغتنا يعني مقبولة. وهذا هو الهدف دائما هو أن تكون اللغة مقبولة. لا يجب أن تكون مثل يعني أهل اللغة، لأنه أحيانا سيكون يعني وربما تأخرنا كثيرا في الوصول إلى ذلك. ربما بالنسبة للأطفال الصغار ممكن أن يكونوا يعني أن يصبح لغتهم مثل أهل اللغة، أما من تجاوز يعني سنا معينا لا أظن أنه يستطيع أن يكون من أهل اللغة مهما حاول، يعني مهما كان جيدا في تلك اللغة. Okay. So I said the question, the right question should have been, what is the best way to practice the language? And I said the best or the right answer to this question is you need to practice the 4 skills of the language, which are, as I said, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Okay. First of all, let me speak about in general. Before I speak about the 4 skills, let me give you some general tips and tricks about learning a language. راح نعطيكم بعض النصائح العامة عن تعلم اللغة بصفة عامة. أولاً, first thing is consistency. Consistency is key, is very essential. What do we mean by consistency? We mean regular practice. So regular practice is essential for mastering any skill, not just a language. Any skill can be mastered through consistency. What do we mean by consistency? We mean regular practice. For example, everyday practice. If you practice every day, any skill, of course, there will be a time by which you're going to master this skill. نقصد ربما باللغة العربية نتكلم على consistency، نقصد بها المداومة والثبات على الممارسة. يعني الممارسة ربما اليومية مثلا، الممارسة اليومية قد تؤدي أو أكيد أنها ستؤدي إلى تمكن من تلك المهارة في نهاية المطاف. So the first thing, the first tip, the first trick, the first advice is consistency. You have to be consistent. Means you have to practice on a regular basis. Every day, every second day, every week, I don't know. You have to practice regularly. Second tip or advice is try to make English a part of your daily routine. Try to make English a part of your daily routine. What do we mean by this? As I said in the first tip, I said consistency. So when you make English a part of your daily routine, for example, you practice every day, or as I said, every second day, every 3 days, every 1 week, or you use English in your daily life. For example, you can start by changing your mobile settings into English. يعني تقدر تبدل البارامتر تاع الموبايل تاعك من الفرنسية أو بالعربية إلى اللغة الإنجليزية. هذا وحده راح يعلمك كثير من المفردات، من الجمل إلى آخره. So instead of, for example, بدل ما تدير اتصل راح تقول call. ولا appeler, call, for example. And so on and so forth. Okay. The third tip is focus on the fundamentals. What do you mean by fundamentals? It means the basics of the language. For example, grammar, vocabulary. So you have to give them some of your time, some of your practice time to the basics of the language, English grammar and vocabulary, because without vocabulary you cannot speak, and without grammar you cannot construct sentences. You cannot make sentences without grammar. So you have to know, for example, that a sentence in English starts with a subject, then a verb, then maybe an object. Okay, it doesn't start with the verb, then the subject, for example. So these are the basics of the language. One of the most important tips is embrace mistakes. because mistakes are a natural part of the learning process. And we as Algerians, we always fear our mistakes. We as students, we always fear mistakes. For example, as a teacher at the university, we always encourage our students to participate in the classroom. But sometimes they don't dare to practice. They don't dare to participate in the classroom simply because they fear their mistakes. They fear that the others, or other their mates, their classmates, they say, for example, you are wrong and you said it wrong, for example, and this is completely wrong because you have to embrace your mistakes. Mistakes comes under the learning process. The more you do mistakes, the more you learn. And here I remember a very good saying. I have written this saying here. It is said by an economist. I remember his name was Luca Bascioli. He's an Italian economist. He said, "Who does nothing makes no mistakes. Who makes no mistakes learns nothing." I repeat, who does nothing makes no mistakes. Of course, if you do nothing, you make no mistakes because you are doing nothing. But if you don't make mistakes, of course, the result is you won't learn anything. Okay. The next advice, dear friends, I repeat, practice, 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 because the more you practice, the better you'll get. This is, in fact, a general rule. هذه قاعدة عامة كلما مارست شيء ما كلما تعلمت وكلما كانت أخطاؤك أقل يعني وكلما ربما كانت تكاليفك أقل يعني لو نتكلموا في إطار آخر غير اللغة يعني غير اللغة فإن أي مهنة أي بزنس إلى آخره كلما تعلمت هذا المهنة أو هذا البزنس فستكون أخطاؤك أقل وبالتالي ستكون تكاليفك أقل وسيكون بالتالي ربحك أكبر. هذا نتكلم على تجارة مثلا. نفس الشيء بالنسبة للغة، كلما مارست اللغة كلما استطعت أن تتحكم في هذه اللغة. Okay, the second or the next advice or tip is try to find opportunities to use English in real life situations, whether it's ordering a food at a restaurant or chatting with a friend. What does it mean? It means that you have to create your own practicing environment. Some people, for example, here we as Algerians, we cannot practice the language simply because I cannot find someone to speak to. Okay. Or because if I speak to some of my friends and colleagues, they laugh at me, for example, because I speak a strange language. But this is wrong. So you have to find your an environment in which you practice the language. For example, you can find some of your friends, some of your mates who are learning English, and try to make rule that we have to speak English only. As a result, I am sure that all of you are going to enhance your English little by little. Surround yourself with English. Surround yourself with English. Like I said earlier, I said start changing your mobile settings from any other language to English. Try to do it and you will see the difference. This is the first thing. And surround yourself with English. If you watch something, watch it in English. If you listen to something, listen to it in English. If you read something, try to read in English. And if you write something, try to write in English. The 4 skills which I'm going to speak about soon enough. And the most important thing is set goals for yourself and track your progress to stay motivated and on track. What does this mean, guys? It means you have to set goals, because if you just start learning a language without goals, so this is going to take like a whole lifetime. But if you, for example, said I have to read, for example, these short stories, this short story, I have to finish this short story in 1 week. This is a goal because it is time bound. So your goals must be time bound. Whenever you start something, try to make a deadline to finish it. For example, let me tell you about my own experience in learning English. When I start learning English, my dear friends, my English was very, very bad. You may get astonished if I tell you that I started from ABCD. I started from ABC. But I don't see this as a shame, because that was my level in English. And I'm saying to you, all of you who are beginners in English, start from your level, even if from scratch, even your level is just is 0 or below 0. Start reading, for example, very easy texts. I'm going to speak about this later, but since we spoke about goals, I said always set when you define your goals, make them time bound. Okay, let me move on. Okay, the 4 skills, guys. The 4 skills. I said the 4 skills. Let me remind you about the 4 skills. I said listening, reading, speaking, and writing. Why did I make this diagram? Because there is a relationship between these 4 skills, and especially between listening and speaking and reading and writing. Simply because the more you listen, the more you will be able to speak. The more you read, the more you will be able to write. يعني هذه المهارات الأربعة مرتبطة ببعضها البعض. هذه المهارات الأربعة هي مرتبطة ببعضها البعض. كلما استمعت للغة، كلما كنت قادرا على التكلم. إذن الاستماع له علاقة بالمحادثة، بالقدرة على التكلم. وهذا يعني من خلال التجربة، من خلال الخبرة، وجدنا أن بعض الطلبة ربما لم يدرس اللغة أبدا، ولكنه من كثرة الاستماع أصبح قادرا على التكلم. يعني مثلا خبرتي أنا في تدريس اللغة التركية، هناك من كثير من خاصة البنات من كثرة المشاهدة في مشاهدة المسلسلات إلى آخره، أصبحت لهم قدرة على التكلم رغم أنهم لم يدرسوا اللغة التركية إطلاقا. إذن هذا مهم جدا. إذا حبيت، يعني إذا كنت عندك مشكلة، نجاوب على السؤال اللي تكلمنا عليه في البداية، إذا كان عندك مشكلة في المحادثة، إذن هذه كيف تطورها وكيف تدعمها؟ عن طريق الاستماع والإدمان على الاستماع. أقول إدمان، ليس الاستماع مرة أو مرتين إلى آخره، لابد الاستماع بشكل مستمر جدا. كذلك إذا كان عندك مشكلة في الرايتين، في الكتابة، هذه تدعمها بالريدين، بالقراءة الكثيرة، لأنك عندما تقرأ كثيرا تصبح تقتبس من قراءتك وتكتبها في في الكتاباتك الخاصة. So I repeat again in English. I said the 4 skills are related, especially listening and speaking. So the more you listen, the more you develop your speaking skills. And on the other hand, the more you read, the more you improve your writing skills. Okay. Let's move on. Listening now. I'm going to speak about listening. The first thing is listening because it is very important. Why it is important? Because listening leads to speaking. My dear friend Zakaria said input and output, of course. So the input here is listening and the output is speaking. So listening tips, some listening tips. Try listening to English language media like podcasts, radio shows, audiobooks, and TV shows. So if you ask me the question, what do I listen to? What should I listen to? This is my answer to you. So try listening to podcasts. And now it is available in social media, in YouTube, in Facebook, there are special apps in you can download from the Play Store or the App Store in which you find podcasts. So listen, and never stop listening. If you like radio shows, yes, listen to radio shows. If you like audiobooks, this is a very, very good way, by the way. I myself, used to listen to audiobooks because when you listen to audiobooks, you can also read the same book and then listen to the audio file of the book. For example, you read a short story, then try look for it in Google. You write, for example, the title of the story, then write audiobook. You can download the file, the MP3 file, and listen to the same text you've already read. Same text you read. So by this you hit two birds with one stone. You hit 2 birds with 1 stone. تضرب عصفورين بحجر واحد. يعني تقرأ الكتاب تقرأ الكتاب أولا ثم تستمع إلى نفس الكتاب. طبعا هنا native speaker, the voice of a native speaker is going to read the book for you. لماذا؟ Because it is completely different between reading a book and listening to the same book. Because as you know, my dear friends, English pronunciation is a little bit difficult. English phonetics is a little bit difficult. So sometimes sometimes words are not pronounced the same way they are spelled. For example, I give you an example, the word enough. So enough is spelled E-N-O-U-G-H, but it is pronounced enough. So the first sound, where did it come? We don't know. So we have GH. GH is pronounced f here. So we cannot blame, for example, a beginner in English who, for example, pronounced the word enough, inug, for example, like this. We cannot blame him because we taught him that E is pronounced E and N-O-U-G-H. We didn't teach that beginner learner, that GH is F. So by this way, so that's why you have to listen a lot to native speakers. And also a second reason that we have to listen to native speakers, because native speakers tend to swallow words. They swallow words. يبلعوا يعني يبلعوا الكلمات. كثير من أهل اللغة يبلعوا الكلمات. يعني لما نقرأ نص باللغة الإنجليزية، ثم أسمع ربما شخص ما أهل اللغة يتكلم نفس النص، ربما ما نفهمش. لذلك كثير من الناس يقول لك أنا شفت ربما فيلم ولا سيريز ولا كذا، ولكن ما فهمتش. ولكن يقول لك لما نقرأ نفهم. C'est normal. لأنه native speakers, they first of all, as I said, they swallow words, and second, they speak very very rapid. يعني يتكلموا بسرعة جدا، وأيضا يبلعوا الكلمات. For example, I'll give you an example. So, for example, if I say, I read this sentence, I must have, or she must have gone. She must have gone. I read this in a sentence, in a book, for example, she must have gone. But a native speaker would say, she must have gone. She must have gone. She must have gone. So they swallow words. So that's why you have to listen a lot. And the more you listen, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more you can make sentences also. Okay. So this is the first thing. I'm going to give you some list of podcasts and audiobooks also, a list of them later after this slide, I guess. So the second tip is focus on understanding the main ideas and don't worry too much about catching every single word. So some people, for example, if they watch a movie or a series or something like that, or a video on YouTube, they stop the video many times in order to understand every single word. And this is wrong. Try just to understand the general idea. Try to understand the general idea. Try to understand the general idea, as I said. Do not struggle to understand every word, because this is going to be very, very tiring for you, and this may cause you to give up, to surrender, and this is very, very bad. يعني هذا لما تستمع إلى مثلا إلى فيديو ولا إلى مقطع صوتي، لا تحاول أن تفهم كل كلمة. لا تحاول أن تفهم كل كلمة، وإنما حاول فقط فهم الفكرة العامة. ثم you move to another video, you move to another audio, and little by little you improve your listening capabilities and you enhance your skills. Okay, let me move on. Practice active listening by taking notes or summarizing what you hear. So it's not enough, guys. It's not enough just to listen. So when you listen, try to make notes. Try to take notes. Try to summarize what you hear. And by this way, you improve two skills, which are listening and writing. If you listen to a video, then you try to sum it up in a paragraph, in a small paragraph. So you learn two skills at once, at the same time. And you learn, of course, new vocabulary, which is very nice. Here have some list of popular podcasts that you can download, or you can see on YouTube, on other social media platforms. For example, we have the English We Speak by BBC, TED Talks, this is very, very good one, a very good one, TED Talks, or TEDx also, TED or TEDx, the same family. Try to write on YouTube TED or TEDx, and you're going to listen to very, very beautiful, very fascinating lectures, which are presented by famous people. You find many, many famous people, politicians, policy makers, many celebrities. We have also This American Life by NPR, Grammar Girl Quick and Dirty Tips, BBC 6-Minute English by BBC, The Daily by the New York Times, Serial by The American Life, and many other podcasts. So just write podcast in Google and you find thousands of them. And of course, as I said, you can watch other things, not just podcasts. You can watch TV shows, series, I don't know. And my advice there in this, try to listen to something that you like. Always focus on your interests. For example, you used to watch something in Arabic because you like it. Now watch the same thing in English. And I am sure there are many dubbed series or TV shows. I mean dubbed. You know what is to dubbed or to dub? They are not subbed. They are dubbed. Sub يعني subtitles, with subtitles. Dubbed means the language is completely changed to another one. يعني بالعربية هناك مدبلجة، هناك فيديوهات مدبلجة، وهناك فيديوهات فيها يعني السبتايتلز يعني مترجمة. إذن نصيحتي هي لا تستعمل السبتايتلز كثيرا. يعني ربما في البداية مقبول أنك تتابع مثلا فيلما أو أي فيديو بترجمة بالعربية، يعني الصوت بالإنجليزية والتكست بالعربية. ولكن أحسن من ذلك أنك تتابع الصوت بالإنجليزية وأيضا الترجمة بالإنجليزية، يعني نفس الشيء. بهذه الطريقة تستطيع أن يعني كما قلنا من قبل، قلت native speakers they tend to swallow words, so when you can catch up with them. يعني تقدر تلحق كما نقولوا احنا بالدارجه، ما دام هو يهدر بسرعه يتكلم بسرعه ويبلع في الكلمات، على الاقل ندير له انا سبتايتلز بالانجلش حتى اذا فاتني كلمه نقراها، وبهذه الطريقه رايحين تسرعوا فعلا تسرعوا learning process تاعكم. you speed up your learning process. وهذه مهمة جدا. خلوني نقول لكم عليها كلمة على تسريع التعلم. على تسريع التعلم. إذن هناك شخصان، زوج أشخاص، واحد كلاهما يتعلمان اللغة الإنجليزية. There are two people. Both of them are learning English. واحد منهما يتعلم بسرعة والآخر لا يتعلم بسرعة. One of them is learning English very rapidly. The other one is learning but very slowly. Why? لماذا? The answer to this is very simple. One of them dares to practice, the other one doesn't dare to practice. يعني واحد منهما سريع التعلم. لماذا يتعلم بسرعة؟ لأنه يجرأ على الممارسة، وهذه مهمة جدا. يعني كل واحد يجرأ على الممارسة يستطيع أن يتعلم بسرعة فائقة. يعني كلما جرأت على الممارسة تستطيع أن تقفز وتتخطى خطوات كثيرة لربما صديقك الآخر راح يتبع كل خطوة بخطوة. In English we say to leap like a frog. To leap, the word to leap like a frog يعني يقفز كضفدع بسرعة، يعني القفز تاعو يكون سريع. أما الآخر to walk like a turtle كسلحفاة. وربما في الأخير كلاهما سيصل إلى نهاية المطاف، إلى تعلم اللغة. ولكن من سيتعلم أولا؟ أكيد هو ذلك الذي يجرأ يجرؤ على الpractice. دوك نتكلم على الجرأة هذه فيما بعد اللي هي مهمة جدًا، جدًا، جدًا. أوكي. Let me move on. Speaking tips. The speaking tips, my dear friends, practice speaking as much as possible, whether with a language exchange partner, a tutor, or a friend, or through an application. Try to practice your speaking skills. Okay, you're going to say, with whom can I practice? I can't find a friend or a colleague who speaks English with me. But as I said, try to find your own English environment, your own speaking environment. Create this environment, make it up. For example, you can, as I said, with the language exchange partner, now it is very easy to speak even with native speakers. تقدر تتكلم حتى مع اللغة. الإنترنت الآن وفرت هذه الخاصية. You can you have a blogs, you have social media, you have Skype, Zoom, anything. So you can speak, you can practice your speaking skills with a tutor, of course. هنا لازم نقول كلمة. كل هذا الكلام اللي نقول فيه، كل هذه النصائح اللي نقول فيها أنا يجب أن تكون بالإضافة إلى الدراسة بشكل نظامي. دراسة الإنجليزية يعني بشكل نظامي في in the class، يعني in the classroom. وهنا مانيش نقول يعني لازم تكون تروح you don't have to be a student in the other university, but you can go to private schools for example and learn the language. يعني تقدر تسجل في مدارس خاصة، في الجامعة، في مدارس التعليم المكثف إلى آخره. كاين يعني عدة أماكن يمكن تسجل فيها اللغة الإنجليزية بانتظام، يعني عند أستاذ، لأن الأستاذ راح يعلمك وراح يختصر عليك الطريق، خاصة بالنسبة للجرامر والبيسكس إلى آخره. or through an application. إذا ما لقيتش مرة انستالي ابليكاسيون تاع تعليم اللغة، هذوك مثلا كيما لي زابليكاسيون هذوك اللي موجودين، لي زابليكاسيون موجودين تعلم بهم لغة بلغة أخرى. وإن كانت أنا لا فعلا يعني صراحة لا أنصح بهم كثيرا، يعني لا أنصح بهم كثير لأنهم يعتمدوا على الترجمة، وهذا يعني خطأ كبير يعني. لذلك دائما حاول أن تتعلم اللغة باللغة نفسها وليس بلغة أخرى. يعني English with English, French with French, not French with Arabic or Arabic with English, and so on. Focus on using the language in real life situations and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Try to use the language in real life situations and don't afraid to make mistakes. لا ما تخافش أبدا من ارتكاب الأخطاء. You know, because learning a language is like making an omelette. You have to break the eggs in order to make the omelette. So break the language. Don't hesitate to break the language. يعني نعود هذه بالعربية. تعلم اللغة مثل صنع مثلا طعام. أحيانا تضطر إلى كسر البيض حتى تقليه. إذا نفس الشيء بالنسبة للغة، أحيانا نحتاج إلى كسر هذه اللغة، يعني نديروا فيها أخطاء كثيرة. يعني لو نقارن أنفسنا يعني كجزائريين يعني بشعوب أخرى، احنا يعني عندنا قدرات يعني قدرات خارقة في تعلم اللغات. Especially for example, when it has to do with phonetics, with the pronunciation. We can, as Algerians, pronounce very difficult sounds. I give you an example. For example, there is a very difficult sound in German. It's ish. It's not ish and it's not ik. It's between k and sh. And we, as Algerians, we can pronounce this sound, especially in some regions, like in Tizi Ouzou, Bjaya, and Batna, يعني عند القبائل وعند الشاوية. they pronounce this word, this sound very, very properly. Also, we can pronounce many difficult words, many sounds that are difficult to other people. I give you another example. For example, the sound p and b. So many people, like in the Gulf countries, like in Egypt, for example, they cannot distinguish between the two sounds, p and b. They always say b, for example. So, but we can. لكن شفتوا ربما أحيانا نشوفوا جزائريين يعني في الخارج مثلا، نشوفوا جزائريين في الخارج يعملوا في قنوات مثلا، قنوات إخبارية وكذا، أو حتى يتكلموا يعني لغات أخرى، أحيانا لا تستطيع أن تفرق بين هل تقول هذا جزائري أو لا. ربما تفرق تقول هذا is not a native speaker, but you cannot make for sure that he is or she is an Algerian. But you can easily distinguish, for example, an Egyptian or an Indian just by his or her accent. يعني تستطيع أن تعرف مثلا مصري لو يتكلم بأي لغة تعرفه باللي مصري، لو تعرف هندي لو يتكلم بأي لغة تعرفه هندي، ولكن ما تقدرش تعرف جزائري بأنه جزائري، لأنه عنده القدرة على هذه قدرة على التكلم والتلفظ بهذه الأصوات حتى وإن كانت غريبة. Okay, so one of the speaking tips, record yourself speaking and listen back to identify areas for improvement. Sometimes you can just record yourself. Now you can use the phone, you can speak to yourself in the mirror, record using your phone and try to listen back and to see what are the mistakes you've done, and try to give this listening or this audio to someone who is better than you to correct your mistakes. Last, speak loudly, speak up. Try to speak loudly. تكلم بصوت مرتفع لما تتكلم باللغة. حاول تخرج مخارج الحروف، حاول تخرج الحروف. يعني أحيان كثيرة تلقى واحد يتكلم بصوت منخفض هكذا لا تستطيع حتى تسمعه، لكن تدرب على الكلام بصوت مرتفع جدا، تكلم بكلام بصوت مرتفع حتى يسمعك الآخرون، خاصة مثلا لما تكون في in a classroom, for example, in a classroom, try to speak up, to speak loudly so everybody can hear you. Okay, let me move on. Reading tips. Now let's speak about reading. نتكلموا على القراءة. ما هي أحسن طرق لتعلم القراءة؟ Start with materials that are appropriate for your level and focus on understanding the main ideas. So this is very important. If you are a beginner, do not start reading novels, because you're going to give up, you're going to surrender, and you're going to say, this is very difficult. This language is very difficult. It's like a mountain. I cannot understand this language. And you give up and you stop learning. But if you start by easy texts that are suitable for your level, for example, if you are a beginner, you can start by short stories and children books. I'm going to speak about this very soon. And children books. So children books are addressed for children in native speakers. But there is no harm if you start by these texts. So the question is, why should we start by these very easy texts? Simply because when you start by these easy texts, you become self-confident. You become self-confident. You see, I could understand this text, so my English is good. يعني قدرت نفهم هذا النص، قدرت نفهم القصة، قريت قصة صغيرة هي موجهة للأطفال في بلدان يعني أهل اللغة، ولكن قدرت نفهمها، فتصبح عندك نوع من الثقة بالنفس. لذلك وش النتيجة أنك تقدر تكمل إلى نصوص أخرى أطول وأصعب. أما إذا بديت بنصوص صعبة. مثال، أنت مستواك مبتدئ في اللغة الإنجليزية وتبدأ رواية مثلا، فتقرأ صفحتين وتحبس، تقول مستحيل هذه اللغة نفهمها وهي صعبة وإلى آخره. So this is the idea. Look up unfamiliar words as you go and practice summarizing what you've read. إذن هنا نتكلموا على when you read for example a short story, try to look up the words you didn't understand in the dictionary. شوفهم في الديكسيونير الكلمات الصعبة. Then it is very important, as I said earlier, do not use English Arabic or English French dictionary. Use English dictionary. Sometimes it is difficult, it is hard to understand, but you have to get used to it. أحيانا تكون صعبة انه نشوف مباشرة في البداية نشوف ديكسيونير انجلي. احيانا ربما ما نفهمش حتى الديفينيشن، هذيك التعريف تاع الكلمة، ولكن مع الوقت راح تتعلم. لماذا؟ For example, if I ask you the question, if I ask you define the word water in English, define the word water. What is water? I am sure most of you are going to say water is ماء، ولكن هذا خطأ. أنا ما نفهمش، أنا أنا نفهم الإنجليزية فقط. أنا قلت لك ما معنى كلمة ماء. What is water? So you have to define the word water. If you go to the dictionary, you find, for example, water is a liquid that is vital to the lives of human beings and many other creatures, for example. إذا تلقى بلي الماء هو سائل مفيد ولا حيوي للإنسان، لحياة الإنسان ولحياة المخلوقات الأخرى. إذا بهذه الطريقة تولي عندك قدرة على تعريف الكلمات. To define words, to speak. Okay, so when you read the short story, try to first of all to underline the words you didn't understand, then try to write the definition of each word at the bottom of the page. تكتب تعريف تلك الكلمات على أسفل الورقة في تلك الشورت ستوري. I tell you my own story, my own experience in learning English. When I started learning English, I started also with short stories. I remember I read the Oscar Wilde short stories, the short stories written by the British author Oscar Wilde. I recommend this for you, by the way. And whenever I read a story, I underline the words I didn't understand. And recently, I still have those short stories in my library. I found one of them recently, and I opened the short story, and I found those words I underlined, and I really laughed at myself. I said, I didn't know those words. They were very easy words. For example, I don't remember the words, but for example, I used to underline the word door, for example, which is very easy for very absolute beginners. Okay, so never feel ashamed of your level. ما تحشمش ابدا، لا تخجل ابدا من مستواك مهما كان، حتى وان كان ما نعرفش ABCD. انا شخصيا كاستاذ لغه انجليزيه لا أجد حرجا إطلاقا أنه نلقى طالب جاي يقرأ مبتدئ ويقول لي ما نعرفش نبرونونسي الأي بي سي دي. نقول له نورمال، ما في حتى مشكلة، تفضل أروح نعلمك كيفاه تقول A B C D E F G for example. لأنه أنا كثير من الأحيان نلقى بأنه طلبة ما يعرفوش حتى يبرونونسيو لي فويال. The vowels, they cannot pronounce the vowels. They cannot differentiate between, for example, E and I and A, for example. They cannot differentiate between them, which I find it very normal. I myself, I find it very normal. Those people, they need to start from scratch. يقدروا يبدأوا من الصفر، هذه جدا. Okay, I said after you read the short story, you underline the words, you look for the map in the dictionary, try to proofread what you had already read after taking notes. Proofread means read again. Proofread is one word, by the way. It's not split like this way. It is one word. Means reread what you have already read. اقرأ مرة ثانية. لما تقرأ مرة ثانية لا تحتاج إلى النظر في القاموس، لأنه الكلمات راك شفتها وكتبتها في أسفل الصفحة. إذن القراءة الثانية ستكون سهلة جدا وستكون نافعة جدا. Choose the text that go with your interests. دائما لما قلت نفس اللي قلتها في البداية عندما تكلمت على speaking أو listening، نفسها نقول هنا. إذن اختر دائما النصوص اللي تتماشى مع اهتماماتك أو اختصاصك. إذا كان اختصاصك ببيولوجي read text biological text، يعني text that speak about biology. If your major is economics, so read text about economics, and so on and so forth. Okay. Reading materials, material examples. أعطيكم أمثلة على reading materials. So I said children books، كتب الأطفال. Easy readers. For example, the Oxford bookworms and the Penguin readers. هذو مشهورين جدا. Easy readers are just for beginners in English. And we have graded readers, which are addressed for non-beginners, for intermediate and advanced readers, like the Cambridge English readers and the Macmillan readers. And also short stories. I've already spoken about short stories. I'm going to give you examples, like the Best American Short Stories series and the Oxford Book of American Short Stories, and Oscar Wilde's stories, my favorite short stories. And by the way, I'm going to give you this presentation in a PDF format. I'm going to put it in the comments later. You can download it and have these examples. And news articles, websites like BBC News and CNN have articles that are written for different levels of English proficiency. يعني شوفوا الارتيكل تاع الأخبار اللي تتكلم على مواضيع معددة واقرأوهم دائما، وتكون هذه صغيرة أو قصيرة وفيها يعني مستويات مختلفة. Last, guys, writing tips. الآن نتكلموا على الكتابة. إذن النصائح حول الكتابة. Start by writing short sentences and work your way up to longer pieces. ابدأ بالجمل القصيرة وبعد ذلك little by little move forward to other longer pieces like paragraphs and then essays and then articles. Why not? Use resources like grammar guides and vocabulary lists to improve your skills. Get feedback from a tutor or teacher. Always, you have to be accompanied by a teacher or a tutor who helps you, who corrects your mistakes and guides you through the necessary steps or the most important steps to learn the language. Write about your life experiences like travels, like hobbies, like anything. يعني حاول تكتب على حياتك الشخصية، حاول تكتب على أسفارك، حاول تكتب على حياتك اليومية، حاول تكتب على هواياتك إلى آخره. ودائما أعرض هذه الكتابات على أستاذ، على من هو أحسن منك في اللغة للتصحيح. I guess this is the last slide. This is the last slide in this presentation. I'm going to allow some questions and try to answer them. So I'm just going to check some of the okay, one of the questions here. It says العربي how to enhance your English pronunciation. This is a very good question. In fact, as I said earlier, it is not very easy to pronounce English. Sometimes, even if your English is very good, even if your level is very advanced, sometimes you cannot or you sometimes you mispronounce a word in English. And that's why, as I said earlier, you have to listen a lot. You have to addict listening. You have to be addicted to listening. يعني لازم تستمع كثيرا. لازم تكون عندك نوع من الإدمان على الاستماع. Because the more you listen, the more you find these difficult words. For example, I tell you, for example, the word something that is difficult in pronunciation. The word, for example, I'm going to write this in the comments, and you try, guys, to guess. I don't know if you've seen this or not. It is spelled Lieutenant. The word in French is lieutenant. The word in French is lieutenant. It's an army rank. It's an army rank. You may get surprised if I tell you what is the British pronunciation of this word. It is lieutenant. Lieutenant. It is not lieutenant. Lieutenant is the American pronunciation, but the British one is lieutenant. Where did the f sound come from? I don't really know. So just listen to native speakers, and then little by little you improve your pronunciation. Okay. Is there another question? Okay. Someone is correcting me, Muhammad. He who does nothing makes no mistakes. He who makes no mistakes learns nothing. It is by Luca Bascioli. Thank you very much for correcting my or giving the exact quote. It is by Luca Bascioli, the economist. Let me see some questions. So go ahead, guys, write questions in the chat box. Well, thank you very much for your good words. Thank you very much. Okay, let me sum up. So, as I said earlier, in the very beginning of this presentation, it is very, very essential. If you want to learn a language, you have, first of all, to take into account as I said, the 4 skills of the language. You have to give them much attention, and you have to, as I said, link between listening and speaking, and between reading and writing. So, as I said, the more you listen, the more you will be able to speak. The more you'll be able to enhance, to improve your speaking skills. And on the other hand, the more you read, the more you'll be able to write. And all the 4s, they complete each other. Listening completes speaking, and reading completes writing, and vice versa. And another advice. Never stop practicing. Never stop listening. I myself, I have been learning English for like maybe 15 years. I never stopped practicing. As I said, start switching your mobile to English. Start reading in English, start listening in English, start watching the news in English if you like news, of course. Start watching them in English. If you like reading, start reading in English. For example, if some people, they like reading very much, they are bookworms. In English we say they are bookworms. If you are a bookworm, if you read in Arabic, you can read the same text, the same books, the same short stories, the same novels, which you have already read them in another language like French or Arabic. Now switch and learn and read them in English. I'm sure especially those famous texts, famous novels, famous stories, they have other versions in English, of course. Maybe because English is maybe now the most speaking or the most spoken language in the world. So many texts are translated into English. So I'm sure you'll find your novel or your story in English. So try to read in English. As I said, I gave you some tips about the 4 skills. I gave you some materials you can start from. As I said, if you are a beginner in English, you can start by short stories. I mentioned the stories written by the British author Oscar Wilde, which I myself started with, or the penguin stories also. They are very, very good for beginners, and they are usually accompanied with their audiobook. So whenever you read a story, try to listen to the audiobook of the same story, and by this way you hit, like I said, 2 birds with 1 stone. I guess I've already exceeded the time for this live. So I'm going to say thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Al-Filf. Write in English from now on. Start writing in English, not in Arabic. So thank you very much indeed for your attention. And I promise I'm going to deliver many lives in this Ramadan, inshallah. So I wish you all the best. رمضان مبارك، وتقبل الله منا ومنكم الصيام والقيام، إلى أن نلقاكم في فرصة أخرى. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وأحييكم من منصة السبورة للتعليم الإلكتروني. يمكنكم الاطلاع على صفحاتنا، فقط اكتبوا سبورة DZ وستجدون مختلف الدورات التي نقدمها وفي مختلف المجالات. شكرا جزيلا والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
منصة السبورة للتعليم الإلكتروني منصة عربية فيها دورات في مختلف المجالات، من اللغات والتصميم إلى إدارة الأعمال المالية والمحاسبة والبرمجة وغيرها. تحوي السبورة دورات مسجلة وأخرى مباشرة. بالنسبة للدورات المباشرة فيها دورات جماعية وأخرى فردية. انضموا الآن إلى فريق المدربين على منصة السبورة للتعليم